Hello everyone. In this session, I want to talk about India under colonial government. India was very much an independent economy even before Britishers. But one thing which was adversely affected by Indian economy is that the policies persuaded by the Britishers, by the British government or the colonial government, served the interest of their home country instead of Indian economy. And during colonial government, there were fundamental economic issues like there was a massive poverty and low literacy level. And the British government took the advantage of the Indian agriculture for its own profitability. And Indian agriculture sector was also very badly exploited by the Britishers as well. And the 85% of population in Indian economy are dependent upon the agriculture sector during the colonial government. I'm talking about the state of various sector under the colonial government. So the better understanding of Indian economy is possible only when we understand the state of various sector during the colonial government, because for the all the economic issues faced by the Indian economy now, the root causes are the impact of, or it is the influence of colonial government or the British government. Talking about the state of agriculture sector, agriculture was the main source of livelihood. Nearly 85% of total population were dependent on agriculture. The second one is lower productivity. The agriculture productivity was lower due to the inadequate inputs of agriculture. It can be irrigation, it can be finance, it can be technology, it can be equipments, it can be scientific progress, it can be high yielding varieties of seeds, etc. Land revenue system during the Britishers, during the colonial government was highly exploitative because the three-fourth of total produce produced by the agriculturalist used to be paid as to the colonial government in the form of tax. Lack of resources for the betterment of agriculture, then commercialization of agriculture. Basically we have to understand that instead of, or rather than the food crops, the colonial government had emphasized much on the commercial crops. It can be pepper, it can be coffee, cardamom, and other spices. So these are the few important aspects we need to understand with regard to the state of agriculture sector. Agriculture being the main source of livelihood, lower productivity of agriculture sector, land revenue system which was very corrupt in nature, lack of resources, commercialization of agriculture as well. Then, talking about the state of industrial sector, handicraft industries were doing very well. It had its own significant, or its own prominent role even before the colonial government. But during the Britishers, the India experienced a decline in the growth of handicraft industries due to their policies, the policy persuaded by the colonial government. Then there is a discriminative tariff policy, the lower rate of tariff when we export the goods and services to Britain, but whereas there was a higher rate of tariff when we import the finished goods to Indian economy. Then competition from machine-made products, especially India is known for the labor-intensive techniques and the home handicraft industry. This is also one of the reasons that the handicraft industry also got much affected by the competition from machine made product. Then about the introduction of Indian railways in India, which is a brighter side of colonial government, there is a slow growth of modern industries. Though the TISCO, that is Tata and Iron Steel Company, was incorporated in the year 1907, it was not much of progress. This particular, or these industries didn't get much of attention by the colonial government, is what we need to understand. And limited growth to the public sector enterprises. There was not a balanced growth of industrial sector because during colonial government, industries were located and confined to few areas only. Not it is not spread all throughout the Indian economy. That is also one of the drawback. Then there was a lack of basic and heavy industries in Indian economy. The one thing we understand in Indian economy are the basic industries such as iron and steel industries, cotton textile industries, rubber industry. These are the basic sector because the majority of the raw materials are supplied by the agriculture sector. These are the agro-based industries. So there was a lack of these industries. So these are the few important aspects which has to be discussed and understood to know about the state of industrial sector during the colonial government. The next one, the state of foreign trade. Foreign trade, the majority of the few major exports of Indian economy during that period of time was silk, cotton, wool, sugar, indigo, jute, etc. And we were mere the supplier of raw materials and the market for the finished products of Great Britain. And the second one, Britain's monopoly control. And India had only one trade contact, or the composition, the direction of India's foreign trade was confined only to Great Britain mostly, and not to every part of Indian economy. Britain had the monopoly over India's foreign trade, the direction of India's foreign trade. Then about the drain of India's wealth. Yes, definitely yes. All the resources and all our economic resources are bent for their economic interest, the economic interest of Britishers or the colonial government. This is with regard to foreign trade. And the state of occupational structure. When we talk about the occupational structure, we all know that we need to talk about agriculture, industry, and service sector. As I told you all, yeah, earlier, around or more than 70% of total population are dependent on agriculture for the employment for food. So agriculture was the major sector contributing to the national income. The second was the manufacturing sector and the service sector, which accounted only 10 and 15 to 20%. And there were few industries which is spread, but that also caused regional disparity. And talking about the state of infrastructure, we cannot deny a fact that Britishers contributed for the basic infrastructure of Indian economy. Yeah, including the roadways, including roadways, railways, waterways, and the airways. Road before independence was not that very fit and modern transport facility, and it was difficult to reach the rural area during the rainy season, because the purpose of having road networks during the Britishers were for their interest, to transfer or for the transfer of raw material from one place to another place because of their economic interest. And talking about the railway in 1853, our first Indian railway got operated, and it is considered as one of the most important contribution of Britishers as well. And this one Indian be it any of the infrastructure, be it roadways or railways or water and air transport, also inland water transport, also their contribution is significant. And we had our Tata Airlines operated or established in the year 1932. In this with this regarding, our the contribution of colonial government is significant. And talking about the communication, India had the modern postal system started in the year 1937 itself. The first telegraphy line was opened in the year 1857. And for the purpose of maintaining law and order, the modern or the expensive system of electric telegraph in India was introduced by the Britishers. One point we all have to understand today, if you are coming up with the basic economic problems which can be listed, like higher population growth, regional disparity, BOP disequilibrium, inequalities in the distribution of income and wealth, poverty, technological backwardness, scientific backwardness, all that, the root cause is from the Britishers or the colonial government.